Hello, welcome to my channel. I am the Mr. Gavinator, and this is my first video. I'll be posting creepypasta stories from Reddit. I have no idea if these are real or not, but I'm just reading offline. I try to get the best stories possible, and here it is. And this is called The Black Car. This is my second story I posted here about the small town I went to in college. I find it a little bit funny that I have several stories for this particular sub, but I really do love the town. It's beautiful and one of my favorite places. Anyway, this happened about 3 years ago. I was attending the university in a nice small town in California. I lived just a couple of blocks away from the campus. It was about a 10-minute walk, so I never bothered trying to find parking and just walked. I just had math class that ran from 6 to 9 at night on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I generally have no issues walking home, even in the dark. I'm 6'3", around 200 pounds. I have a big red beard, and I believe people are usually more afraid of me than I am of them. I should note that I'm a total pansy, and were anyone to ever attack me, I'd probably end up in fetal position crying. About a week before this particular night, the school sent out an email to all students. There had been several instances of girls being stalked and, in a couple of cases, attacked or taken by a group of 3 or 4 men in the black car, four-door car. They warned us to walk in groups and not to stay out late. The attacks were all after dark. I remember reading the email and feeling horrible for the girls who had been attacked. But I also didn't pay it much mind, as I didn't quite fit the attacker's criteria. While people had been able to count the number of silence and describe the car, nobody ever got a license plate number. It was a very cold Thursday night. I wore my large hooded jacket to keep warm on the walk. We had a test that day, which meant we had to get to leave class early. Our teacher would usually spend about 20 minutes going over stuff, then giving us the test. After we finished and turned it in, we were allowed to leave. So instead of 30 people still leaving at the class once, we were all spread out on our departures. I was probably the 10th or so person to finish the test, and I started to walk back home. I threw on my big jacket and put the hood up. I love this jacket because it's incredibly warm. It makes me look like a bear-like. One of the people who finished the test before me was thus fairly petite girl. We had sat next to each other for several times, but I'm pretty socially awkward and never have spoken to her. She was walking about 30 yards ahead of me. It was around 8 p.m. and dark out. She was staring at her phone as she walked along. I'm sorry. I messed up, guys. Just a second. We'd been walking for a couple of minutes when I started noticing something that made me feel a bit off. There wasn't streetlights along the stretch of the road, so it was pretty dark. I could have sworn I saw something moving in the street, but it wasn't sure. I began to pay closer attention after a few seconds. I realized there was a car moving slowly behind this girl. It was a black car, and they didn't have their lights on, and it was impossible to see them. And I immediately recalled the email I received the previous week about the attacks. Small girl, alone at night, black car, holy shit. I sped up to start catching up with her. The car pulled closer as well. I called to the girl. She stopped and turned around to look at me. As she turned, the car doors opened. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight app. 3 men jumped out of the car and started running at her. I started yelling at them, and she started running away from me. They were about to catch her, and I was sprinting at them. I'm 100% sure the 3 dudes would absolutely kick my ass. I'm sure one dude would. I had no idea what was going to happen if I caught up to them in time. I started shouting everything I could to think of them, as I depended on my voice to sound more intimidating. I put my bear jacket to look as big as I could. I remember that nobody had been able to get the plate numbers, so I shined my light into the car. I started shouting on the license plate info at them. This freaked out the attackers. 2 of them ran back in the car. One guy turned to me and looked like he was going to come at me. But one of the guys in the car told me to not. I was too big. They flipped their lights and sped off. I reached the girl to make sure she was okay. I shined my light on her to make sure she haven't been cut or anything by the men. She was crying and shaking. At this point, a couple of other people had finished their tests and had seen the last encounter. The other guy from the class, I walked to the girl to her dorm. She even made us walk her to the door on the 3rd floor, even though access to the building was card to card. We called the police and told them about the encounter. I had memorized the plate number in the car as I shouted at the guys a couple times. A month or so later, they found the car. Inside were some knives, duct tape, mace, and rope. They caught 2 of the guys outright. We were trying to get them out to the others involved. Every Tuesday and Thursday, even after the police caught the guys, I would walk to the girl after the dorm, after class, and I headed home. It was one of the most scariest moments of my life. I thought for a while I was going to either watch this girl get kidnapped or be brutally murdered stopping it. Thank you guys for reading this. This is my first video, and I'm not the best storyteller, but I would like to progress on this channel and get better. Getting supports, likes, and subscribers probably will get a better chance of me getting the equipment besides recording on my phone and reading off Reddit stories. So guys, this is my first video. Thank you for watching, and if you could, give a like and subscribe. Tell anyone, your friends, family about my channel, and goodbye guys.